man Grognard here with another episode, and today I want to talk about memory, mainly the GM's memory. Now, I have this trouble in daily life. I have this trouble when I'm acting, so naturally I'll have this trouble with GMing, and I think there's a lot of GMs out there who have this trouble too. You're reading a rule book, a rule set. You're getting the rule set down, you know. You're just getting, you understand the basics of the mechanics on how it works. You can run it. Maybe you ran a few sessions already. But doggone it, isn't there, like, wouldn't it be, there's this one particular area of the rules you just cannot remember. You get it when you read it, but it just doesn't stay up here. Well, some people would say that's what notes are for. Yes, they are. And also having the book with you. That helps too, but you don't want to go be flipping through the book every time you use it for every session. And usually as a GM, you do the old make a decision, correct it after the game. Make a ruling. But if you're doing like 3 to 5 games with the same thing popping up again, you got to figure out something. That's where the GM's handy dandy helper, the sticky note pad, the post-it note, comes in. I mean, you should be using this all the time anyway on your GM screen, and notes on the adventure and magic items and things you got to remember. But it's also good to remember those rules that just do not stick in your brain, just drives you crazy. Oh, here's an example. Once again, I'm going to go with Savage Worlds. Okay, pretend you can see it. And this is not just me. I've heard other people have trouble with this too. The damage rules in here are dead simple. Dead simple. But doggone it, if I can not remember. I think that's a problem with games that are really easy. I love easy games. I'm basic D&D and Savage Worlds and all this stuff that you can, really just go with a few rules and go. And it usually has rules for, everything's boiled down to the basics. And this also goes for games like GURPS. One of the pitfalls, I think, of these games, and other games too, but it mostly stands out of these games because they're so dang simple, is they'll have a rule that's universal. Okay? All characteristics are taken care of like this. Something like that. But they'll always have one exception. One exception. GURPS is good for that. They'll have things, oh yeah, this happens all the time, except for this one instance where it doesn't. And that usually trips me up. The one that used to trip me up in here is wild dice. Wild dice you roll for anything, any attack or trait test, but you don't roll it for damage. You don't use damage. And dice can ace or raise unless the book says otherwise, which is good. So that's kind of universal. So you can ace or raise on a to hit. You can ace or raise on damage, which is good. But let me get back to the damage tree. The damage is, like I said, dead simple. All characters, either the extras or the wild cards. Wild cards are obviously the player characters, plus any significant NPCs, any significant bad guys, and the rest are just what they call extras. Now, there's difference. What they call wild cards have more oomph. All wild cards have 3 wounds. Extras have 1 wound. So, you can see where this is going. Now, the statuses of damage is shaken, 1 wound, 2 wounds, 3 wounds, and incapacitated. Okay? Follow me on this. When you roll over the target number, it depends on how far over you roll, but not by much. If you just make it over the target number, or you say you go 3 points beyond the target number, 0 to 3 points beyond the target number, the target is shaken, which usually means like that. It could be, I think it was being like stunned in Champions. The target is now shaken. It has to roll a spirit roll, which is a stat roll. And if they make it, you have a chart saying what happens if a success, if a failure, a critical failure, which is snake eyes, which is basically a fumble. And it'll tell you what to do there. Now, most of the time when you're shaken, you can't do anything except free actions, unless you have like a resounding success. You get a raise on your roll. And also what they call bennies, which are like hero points and stuff. You can spend one of those and take the shaken off. Okay, that's shaken. You know, it'll kind of mess you up a little, but no big deal. You have a chance of getting out. You can stay shaken for several turns, but you always have a chance to get out of it, whether you want to do the roll or spend the Benny or whatever. Anyway, the next is wounds. You take 1 wound, you take 2 wounds, you take 3 wounds. Now, every wound is a minus on your pace, which is your movement, and all your traits, which includes skill rolls, which includes characteristic rolls. So you can go up to -3 on these things, so it can get pretty bad. Incapacitated, you make it immediate, boom, vigor roll. Doesn't mean you're dead. It means you're too battered and bruised and banged up to do anything other than just like collapse. Now, it can get to dead depending on what you roll on the rolls, whatever your vigor roll is at the time. And then it gets into like stages of, like, okay, you got a scar, you got a permanent affliction or a temporary affliction, or, there's some where you can just die outright, depending on the game. But anyway, that's the way it goes. And what I had a hard time getting through in my head was these things are cumulative. So if you're shaken and you get hit again and it goes just over, they hit, they go over the target number, you got a wound. You got a wound. Because usually wounds, what happens is if you hit, okay, let me explain. If you hit 0 to 3 points over the target number, you're shaken. If you hit 4 or more over the target number, which is a raise, you are shaken and you take a wound. And if you keep taking damage, which doesn't have to be a raise, you will take another wound. So, and to get rid of these, you can spend bennies to soak, but you have to spend Benny for like each wound and the shaken result, unless you get a really good roll on your spirit roll. So, or, however. Anyway, it's simple, but it's not simple. It's simple, but this is the thing with simple games. Sometimes they're so simple, people tend to complicate it. I'm complicating it in my brain, just naturally. I just, what if? People start going, what if? Well, that's what the sticky note's for. I made one for damage. You may not be able to see it because of the light, but that's my sticky note. I put that on my GM screen. I look at it. It says on the bottom, cumulative, to remind myself. See, and another thing that got me was 4 more points over, or 0 to 3 points is shaken. But then after you take 4 or more and you take that first wound, then all they have to do is get over the target number, which is usually your parry if you're doing melee, and you got another wound. There is no 0 to 3 in it. No more raises. Unless I'm wrong, which I could be, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But, this is the kind of thing. These are so handy. You guys know it pretty much. But I wanted to remind you, if I have any other ideas on how to remember things, because people, like I said, some of these games, they're simple, but people complicate them. That's how you get the games where that one rule you just can't remember. I'm sure there's some in D&D too, and other games, Hero, GURPS, RuneQuest, Traveler. They always have something in there that'll trip you up. So if you have any suggestions about this, I would like to hear about it at oldmangrognard@gmail.com. So give me a holler, give me a shout out, and maybe we can talk about it on the next show or another show after this. So that's all I got for now. So bye-bye.